Hey guys, welcome back to Playing on Footy. Long time no see. What a game last night was. Port Adelaide versus Geelong in South Australia at Adelaide Oval. You're just thinking deja vu. I mean, this is unbelievable. It literally gave me flashbacks of the 2007 AFL Grand Final. That's what I put it down to. And yeah, Geelong won last night by 84 points. It was just an absolute class act display by a team that has just been just so good for so long. And they've unlocked their 7th prelim final in 8 years. And it's just a phenomenal feat. Jeremy Cameron kicking that goal in the Eddie Betts corner, or pocket I should say, was just phenomenal in the first quarter. Yeah, it was a tight opening first quarter, I must say, but by both the teams. And then the second quarter, Geelong were up by about 3 goals. And then in the third, Geelong's blast away were 8 goals up. And then, they finished about 13 goals up in the last quarter. And Jeremy Cameron kicking 3 goals for, Manna 3 goals. I think Myers may have kicked a couple as well. I can't remember exactly, but it was just a phenomenal display, and they've primed themselves to play at the G in the prelim. And I must say, Chris Scott, he is one of those coaches where, he just knows how to utilise his key position players, but not just that, but also sort of fringe players, because you sort of had Lawson Humphreys come through the middle a lot last night and utilise the ball and do a lot of run and carry. And with Tom Stewart being out, it was basically, before the game, I sort of thought, well, okay, if Tom Stewart's out, where's their run and carry going to come from, and their defensive art, with him out, and they did fine. They had, Big Shannon Neal up forward, who I think did pretty well, brought the ball to ground if he couldn't mark it. But then coming through the middle there, Tanner Bruin was great. As well as Zach Tui when he was subbed in. I thought did a tremendous job. But Dangerfield, he was the one that really stood up and really led from the front as captain, obviously. But as a great player for the club, he just knew how to break free from any holds that Port really put over the Cats. And after the second quarter, or after half time, I should say, it was just a real free-for-all for the Cats. Zach Butters obviously went out, or got subbed out, I think just before half-time, and that really dented the Port Adelaide's confidence. And then, obviously in the third and fourth quarters, Cats just came out and just went whack and basically showed no mercy. And as I said, just reminding me of the 2007 AFL Grand Final. But wow. For Port fans, obviously a lot of Port fans left before, I think at half time, actually, a couple left at half time, but then to 3/4 time, majority of the fans left. You just think and wonder, it's just like, well, okay, people say Ken Hinkley's going to go to the Eagles. That could be true, that could be not true, but he as a coach, you must be thinking to yourself, I mean, I was last night going, well, how is this happening all the time? Like, he's got them into the grand final, not the grand final, into like the final series, but then failed to get to a grand final, and just not much else since then. So really does put into question, can stay at Port Adelaide, which next year, which I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening, and it's easy for me to say that because I've got no really affiliation with Port Adelaide. I'm an Eagles fan, of course, but would I want to see Ken Hinkley come to Eagles? Probably not. And that's not to take away him as a coach. I think he knows how to be a people's person, sort of like a Chris Fagan as a coach. Doesn't necessarily mean they're a good coach, but they're good with players and how to develop players. He's more of probably a developmental coach, but in terms of a coach like Chris Scott, I mean, Chris Scott, he's a master tactician, and he knows, what sort of strings to pull, but also, you could argue he's a good developmental coach as well. I mean, he's got standouts like Zach Guthrie, Lawson Humphreys this year that have really stood up. And then Manna, who's sort of come through the VFL and then come to AFL and is really contributing to the Cats side. I think when you put it down to, he's ticking all the boxes this year, but also for the last, I don't know, since 2011 when he first won with his first year, he won the flag for the Cats. He's just been ultra consistent at, getting the best out of each group that he had throughout the years. And I think, from a longevity point of view, you'd probably argue the Geelong Cats are probably the best team in the, last decade for sustained success. Now, I'm not taking away anything from Richmond Tigers or Hawthorn, but when you look at it as a whole, the Cats have always been really up there and really haven't wavered. I mean, the Hawks just recently come back from the 10-year rebuild. I mean, that took them around 10 years or just shy of 10 years to sort of, to just shy of 10 years to get that done. And then you look at the Tigers have got a long way to go now to get back to where they were. But then you obviously look at the Eagles. The Eagles have just waned completely. So for Geelong to be, as I'm saying, sustained success, not necessarily having to win a grand final, but always just being up there, always being in the finals somewhat, and, with their new stadium in Geelong, GMHBA, it's a credit to their sustained success, basically. But, yep, looking forward to the game tonight against the Dogs versus the Hawks. I think it's going to be a cracking game. My money is on the Hawks. I do see, obviously, a bit of an upset there as well. But, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. But, yeah, wow, I was absolutely amazed last night. And I thought I'd just do a quick video, guys, to talk about it. But we'll see what happens tonight with the Dogs versus the Hawks. I'll see you then for the next review. Cheers, guys.